We were told this was the best time to be alive. That technology would liberate us. That progress would bring meaning. We live in an era of instant communication, endless entertainment, and comforts our ancestors couldn't even imagine. By all appearances, this is the pinnacle of human advancement. And yet, something feels deeply wrong. Despite the abundance, many people wake up each day with a strange emptiness, a subtle ache that can't be named. We scroll, we consume, we stay connected, but we rarely feel connected. We were promised more than convenience. We were promised a better life. But somewhere along the way, that promise broke. Modernity sells us a compelling story. That life progresses in a straight line, that each innovation brings us closer to happiness, that technology and wealth equal well-being. It sounds reasonable, it sounds hopeful, and so we believe it. But if this were true, why are anxiety, burnout, and loneliness at an all-time high? Why do so many of us living in the best era feel like something essential is missing? This is the paradox of progress. It's not that progress is the enemy. It's that our definition of progress has become distorted. Somewhere along the way, we stopped asking, progress toward what? Instead of moving closer to meaning, we've moved toward constant motion. Instead of growing wiser, we've grown more distracted. Instead of feeling more alive, we've been conditioned to perform. Human life has been redesigned, not around purpose or connection, but around output. To produce, to consume, to optimize. Success is no longer about depth or inner richness, but about speed and visibility. We've been told that fulfillment comes from efficiency, productivity, and upgrades. But this belief system, though wrapped in glossy marketing and glowing screens, has hollowed out the soul. Even our interactions have become mechanized. The promise was that technology would bring us together, but more often it's made our relationships shallower. We text instead of talk. We compare instead of connect. We post, but we rarely pause. Social media promised belonging, but delivered performance. We present curated fragments of life, chasing validation through likes and comments. And when we don't get it, we feel less. Not because we are less, but because we've confused attention with worth. We've never had so many ways to communicate, yet felt so misunderstood. Never been so informed, yet so lost. Never had so many friends, yet felt so alone. The core issue isn't the tools, it's the story we've wrapped them in. That more is always better, that fast is always superior, that we are machines and our value is tied to what we produce. This is the broken promise of modernity. That comfort equals meaning. That access equals wisdom. That connection equals intimacy. We are drowning in stimulation but starving for depth. Bombarded by information, but blocked from insight. Encouraged to chase everything external while losing touch with everything internal. And so we run faster, scroll longer, work harder, trying to fill the silence we can't name. But maybe it's not something missing. Maybe it's something forgotten. Modern life is not just fast, it's relentless. We wake up tired, work all day, and go to bed wired with stress, only to do it all again tomorrow. And somewhere along the way, we've accepted this as normal. But it's not normal. It's a system designed to keep us running. From the very beginning, we are trained to be functional. School prepares us for work. Work becomes our identity. We are told that productivity is the highest virtue, and that being useful is the same as being worthy. But in this model, work is rarely about fulfillment. It's about output, performance, endurance. Even when the workday ends, our minds don't. Emails after hours, notifications at dinner. The boundary between life and labor has eroded. Technology promised freedom, but gave us availability. We are always reachable, always expected to respond, always on. And this permanent accessibility doesn't create freedom. It creates fatigue. We live in a world that glorifies being busy. Doing nothing is seen as laziness. Rest is earned, not inherent. And yet, people are exhausted, not from idleness, but from overextension. Work no longer ends at 5 p.m. It follows us into the night, into our thoughts, into our bodies. Sleep becomes shallow, stress becomes chronic, and we begin to mistake anxiety for ambition. But even that isn't enough, because production is only half of the equation. The other half is consumption. To keep the system running, it's not enough to work tirelessly. We must also spend endlessly. We've been sold the idea that happiness can be bought, that success comes with a price tag, that owning more means being more. But this is an illusion crafted with precision. Advertising doesn't sell products, it sells dreams, a better life, a better self. Each purchase whispers, "You're getting closer." But the satisfaction never lasts. As soon as you get the thing, a newer, better version appears. Desire is never meant to end. It's meant to sustain the system. This cycle of perpetual want is not a flaw. It is a feature. Disappointment isn't a bug. It's the fuel. And while we chase the next upgrade, the next promotion, the next escape, life quietly slips by. Not lived, but delayed. We no longer live in the present. We live in anticipation, waiting for the weekend, waiting for the vacation, waiting for a future moment when things will finally feel right. But when it comes, it never quite does. The future becomes a mirror of the past, another version of the same routine, and we find ourselves asking, is this it? What was sold as progress has become a maze. Not of walls, but of distractions, of goals not chosen, but assigned, of dreams not felt, but marketed. And in this maze, the reward for running faster is just more running. We live in a world surrounded by people, yet feel more alone than ever. This isn't a coincidence. It's not just a personal failure. It's the design of the system. In the race for efficiency and productivity, even our relationships have become transactional. We meet not to connect, but to schedule. We talk not to share, but to inform. Time has become a scarce commodity, and genuine presence has been replaced with distraction. Notifications interrupt conversations. Meetings are squeezed into crowded calendars. Friends become appointments, and family becomes background noise. The very structure of modern life encourages fragmentation. The deeper the connection, the more time and energy it demands, both of which are constantly under threat. So we settle for surface-level exchanges, quick messages, short replies. We say, "Let's catch up soon," but rarely mean it. What's worse, modern culture glamorizes extreme individualism. We are told to be strong, independent, self-sufficient, that needing others is weakness, that reliance is a flaw. But humans were never meant to walk alone. Connection isn't a luxury, it's a survival need. Yet we're conditioned to think, don't burden others. Handle it yourself. Keep it together. This mentality isolates us. We build emotional walls, wear social masks, and call it strength. We perform stability even when we're breaking. We present curated versions of ourselves online, highlight reels without the backstage mess. And then we scroll through everyone else's highlight reels, believing they're real. Comparison becomes constant, and in that comparison, we shrink. We believe we're behind, lacking, failing, not because we are, but because we've been trapped in a game no one truly wins. We confuse followers with friends, attention with affection, digital reach with real intimacy. And yet, something inside us still longs for touch, for eye contact, for laughter that isn't filtered through a screen. We don't need more messages. We need moments of being seen, heard, understood, moments where we can just exist, unjudged, unmeasured, unoptimized, but the system offers no time for that, no profit in stillness, no metric for empathy, so it teaches us to move on, stay busy, keep scrolling. As a result, loneliness has become a silent epidemic, not chosen solitude, but engineered disconnection. People live side by side, but not together. We walk past each other with eyes down, headphones in, hearts guarded. Even in crowded rooms, we feel invisible. Even among friends, we feel unknown. This is not just a personal issue, it's a collective condition. We're not broken, but something in the system is. We were never supposed to live like this, always rushing, always performing, always reaching for something just out of sight. Modern life has taught us to chase, but never to arrive, to optimize, but not to feel, to accumulate, but not to be. And so we keep going. Not because we know where we're headed, but because stopping feels like failure. The real crisis of modernity isn't lack of progress. It's the emptiness that often comes with it. We've mistaken movement for meaning, we've confused stimulation with satisfaction, and we've built our lives chasing shadows that never quite resolve into form. We tell ourselves, just one more achievement, just a little more money, just a little further. But the corner never arrives. The satisfaction never stays. The promise is always, almost. And the tragedy is that we've learned to live with this ache. We've normalized the disconnection. We've accepted the constant hum of anxiety, thinking it's just part of being an adult. But deep down, something in us knows this isn't how life is supposed to feel, not because it's unbearable, but because it's untrue. We've been sold a story that tells us to look outward for purpose, to find validation in status, to seek fulfillment in things. But real meaning never comes from the outside. It's born in the quiet, in the pauses, in the courage to ask, if I wasn't trying to impress, what would I do? If I wasn't performing, who would I be? We don't need more upgrades. We need more honesty, more silence, more time spent listening, not to the noise out there, but to the voice within. Because beneath the striving, beneath the stress, beneath the roles we play, there's still a self that remembers, that longs, that questions, that dares to say, maybe there's another way. And there is. A way that doesn't measure worth by productivity. That values presence over performance. That allows rest, depth, slowness, and imperfection. We don't need to abandon the world. We just need to stop abandoning ourselves. Meaning doesn't arrive with success. It awakens in stillness. It appears in the moments we stop rushing and start returning. To what matters, to who we are, to what we give, to the connections that aren't quantified, but lived. If this message spoke to something deep in you, if it made you pause even just for a moment, then that moment matters. Maybe that moment is the beginning of something new.